Cale Thorne had seen many strange places in his life, but nothing looked as lonely as the dead alien base standing in front of him now. The massive metal doors were half buried under layers of dust, and the entire structure seemed like it had been forgotten by the galaxy itself. Even the wind felt silent around it, as if nature also avoided this place. Cale stepped out of his old transport ship and looked around. He wore a simple mechanic jumpsuit, with tools hanging from his belt. He was not a soldier, not an explorer, not a hero. He was just a mechanic who wanted a quiet place to work, away from problems and away from people. When he heard an alien base was being sold for almost nothing, he took the chance immediately. People in the nearby colonies warned him. They said the base was cursed. They said no one stayed inside for more than a day. They said the last owners never returned. But Cale never believed rumors. He only believed broken machines, loud engines, and the kind of problems a wrench could solve. He pressed the control panel. It took a few seconds, but the ancient doors began to slide open with a long, heavy sound. Cale raised his flashlight and stepped inside. The air was cold and still. Too still. He could see a huge hallway stretching forward. Strange alien symbols glowed faintly on the walls, even though there was no active power source. Dust floated in the light from his flashlight, showing how untouched everything was. Cale walked slowly, every step echoing in the empty space. He passed broken cables, old crates, and rusted tools lying on the ground. It looked like someone had once worked here, maybe even lived here, but left in a hurry. He reached a large hangar door. This one was locked tight. Cale wiped the dust from the small screen beside it. Alien text appeared for a moment, then faded. He pressed different buttons, hoping something would react. The door suddenly opened on its own. Cale jumped back, surprised. He did not touch anything that time. The hangar inside was huge, so huge he could not see the far end. But what caught his attention were the shapes under the large dusty covers. Dozens of them. Big ones. Small ones. All lined neatly across the wide floor. He stepped closer. The first covered shape stood taller than him. He reached out and removed the sheet. Dust burst into the air. Under the sheet was a small, sleek alien starfighter, with curves and panels he had never seen in any human design. Cale whispered softly, This is not junk." He went to the next one. Another ship. Then another. Each one looked cleaner than the outside of the base. Not rusted. Not damaged. As if someone expected these ships to be used again. But why hide them? Why leave them here? Why sell the base for almost nothing? Cale continued walking deeper inside. His flashlight caught something strange on the ceiling, long metal beams filled with glowing alien text. It wasn't only decoration. It looked like code. Instructions. Or warnings. The deeper he walked, the more he felt something unusual. The floor lightly vibrated. It was faint, almost like a heartbeat under the ground. Cale stopped and knelt down. He placed his hand on the cold metal floor. The vibration was real. Something beneath the hangar was alive. Something was still running after hundreds of years. Cale stood up slowly. He knew he should leave, maybe call authorities, maybe tell someone what he found. But he also knew what would happen then. Governments would take the place, corporations would seal it, and Cale would lose everything. This base was his now. And whatever secret it held, it belonged to him too. He took a deep breath and walked toward the center of the hangar. There was a circular platform with power lines leading into the ground. The vibration came from there. Before Cale could examine it, the lights flickered above him. Once. Twice. Then, the entire hangar lit up with cold blue light. Cale froze as every covered ship cast a long shadow behind it. The air filled with the soft hum of ancient engines. The glowing symbols on the walls grew brighter, reacting to his presence. The base was waking up. Because of him. Cale swallowed hard. He realized this was not a simple abandoned garage. It was something far greater. And far more dangerous. Cale stood completely still as the cold blue lights filled the hangar. For a moment, he felt like he was standing inside the chest of a massive sleeping creature that had suddenly taken a breath. Everything around him hummed softly, like metal waking up after a long dream. He looked at the covered ships again. A few minutes ago, they looked dead and forgotten. Now, they looked alive, waiting. Cale raised his flashlight again, even though the hangar was brighter now. His heart was beating too fast, and sweat formed on the back of his neck. The vibration under the floor grew stronger, spreading gently through his boots. He walked to the nearest ship, the one he had uncovered first. The sleek alien starfighter now glowed faintly along its curves, as if the ship recognized the awakening energy in the hangar. Cale touched the surface. The ship was warm. That made no sense. With no power source, no crew, and no maintenance, an alien ship should be cold, ice cold. Yet this one felt like a machine that had been running minutes ago. He stepped back, breathing slowly. This was no scrapyard, he whispered. He moved to uncover another sheet. The fabric fell away, revealing a medium-sized transport ship with strange markings along its wings. The alien symbols glowed gently, matching the rhythm of the hangar lights. Cale checked the panels. No rust. No dust inside. No sign of age. These ships were not abandoned. They were preserved. He looked around the hangar again. Everything was too perfect. Even the tools lying around looked positioned with purpose, as if someone had carefully placed them and walked away expecting to return the next day. Cale walked deeper inside, feeling something pull him forward, curiosity stronger than fear. He passed more covered shapes, more silent ships that waited like statues. On the far side of the hangar, something caught his eye. A floating drone. It was small, shaped like a metal sphere with thin mechanical arms. It hovered silently, almost blending into the shadows. Cale approached carefully, raising his flashlight. The drone did not react. It floated perfectly still, like it was in sleep mode. He studied it. Alien engineering. Lightweight. Flawless design. No signs of decay. He quietly whispered, "How long have you been here?" Then he noticed something strange on the floor, a long trail of faint footprints. Not human footprints. They had 3 toes and were very light, almost as if the creature that made them was weightless. But the dust around them was untouched. No new prints. Nothing recent. Cale leaned closer. "Someone walked here," he said softly. "But not in years." He followed the footprints until they suddenly vanished near a large circular platform in the center of the hangar, the same place from which the vibration came. The platform was covered with thick cables leading into the floor. Strange alien symbols circled its edges, glowing brighter than any others in the room. Cale hesitated. He knew that touching this thing could be a mistake. But he also knew he could not leave without understanding what this place really was. He placed his hand gently on the platform. The response was instant. A flash of light shot across the symbols, racing around the circle. The hum of the hangar shifted pitch, becoming deeper, stronger, almost like a low voice. Cale stepped back quickly. The floor under him vibrated harder. Dust lifted into the air. The hangar lights pulsed. Then, without warning, the platform split open into multiple metal layers, each one sliding apart in perfect silence. A deep, glowing chamber opened beneath it. Inside the chamber was a massive alien core, blue, round, pulsing like a living heart. Thin streams of energy flowed out of it, moving into the cables and powering the entire base. Cale stared at it in disbelief. A power core this strong could run a whole colony. It could power a city. It could even power a warship fleet. But why was it buried under this hangar? Hidden. Sleeping. Cale's flashlight flickered. He looked up. The ships on the far side of the hangar were glowing even brighter now. One of them, a large heavy cruiser, suddenly released a sharp metallic sound. Panels shifted on its side. A small hatch opened. Cale froze. He waited for a creature to crawl out. He waited for alarms or security drones to attack. He waited for anything. But nothing came out. Only a soft blue light poured from the open hatch. Cale took a slow step backward. Something was changing. Something was moving. And whatever he woke up was not going back to sleep. He took a deep breath and whispered to himself. This base is not dead. It was waiting for someone. It was waiting for me. Cale stood frozen as the heavy cruiser's hatch remained open, blue light spilling out like water. He felt the air shift again, as if the entire hangar was breathing with him. The platform behind him continued to pulse with energy, feeding the core, feeding the machines, feeding something deeper inside the facility. He should have left. He knew that. Any normal person would have run. But Cale Thorne was not a normal person. Curiosity was welded into his bones. And this place was calling to him. He took a step toward the cruiser. The metal under his boots felt warmer now. Not burning, just alive. He raised his flashlight and aimed it into the open hatch. The interior looked untouched, smooth metal walls, faint lights running along them, and a long corridor that led deeper into the ship. The air inside smelled surprisingly clean, almost fresh. This thing is not abandoned, Cale whispered. Someone cared for it. Recently, or very, very long ago. He moved his hand across the door frame. The cruiser reacted instantly. A small device extended from the ceiling, shaped like a scanner. It aimed directly at him. Cale froze. The scanner released a thin beam of light that passed over his body from head to toe. Beep. Soft, gentle. Almost welcoming. Alien text appeared on the inner screen. Access, human. Status, approved. Vault clearance granted. Cale stepped back so fast he almost tripped. Human. Approved. Vault clearance. The aliens built their systems to recognize his species. But how? Humans were newcomers in the galaxy. No ancient alien empire should even know humans existed. Unless humanity was not the newcomer. Humanity was the reason this base existed. Cale felt his breath get heavier as he walked further into the cruiser. His flashlight reflected off silver walls and glowing panels. Everything looked too perfect, like time had stopped inside the ship. He found the cockpit. Seats shaped for aliens, but the controls. The controls were not alien. They were hybrid. Half alien, half human design. Cale ran his fingers along the smooth surface of the console. He pressed one button gently. The ship's engines hummed. Not fully alive. Just enough to show him they could. Cale took a deep breath. This whole thing is worth a fortune. Then he corrected himself. This is worth more than nations. He stepped out of the cruiser and returned to the hangar floor. His mind was spinning, energy running through him like electricity. He began uncovering more ships one by one. Not one. Not 10. Not 20. Dozens. Small fighters, heavy cruisers, stealth ships, drop ships, gravity-skipping models, and even a strange craft shaped like a ring. He touched each one. Every ship was active. Every ship had power. Every ship recognized him. He realized something important. This hangar was not a garage. It was a vault. A vault filled with priceless warships kept in perfect condition. He walked back to the glowing central platform. He knelt beside it and looked into the chamber again. Streams of energy pulsed through the core, glowing brighter every minute. Above the platform, a hologram suddenly flickered into existence. A figure shaped like a tall alien commander wearing armor. Kale stumbled backward. The hologram raised its head and spoke in a deep, echoing voice. "If you are human, then this message is for you." Kale's heart stopped. "We built this vault for your return. For the day your species rises once more." Kale felt his body grow cold. "The fleet you see here belongs to humanity. Its value, 2 trillion standard credits. 2 trillion. Kale almost collapsed. He owned an entire Starship armory. A forgotten fleet worth more than some planets. The hologram paused before continuing. "Guard this fleet well, human. For one day, the stars will call your people again." Then the hologram faded slowly. The chamber closed. The hangar lights dimmed into a calm blue glow. Kale sat down on the cold metal floor, overwhelmed. His brain tried to make sense of everything. The ships, the power core, the recognition systems, the hologram. Humanity was not just a rising species. It was a returning one. This base was not random. This fleet was not abandoned. This message was not an accident. Kale Thorne, a simple mechanic, had just become the keeper of a secret that could change the galaxy. He stood up slowly and looked around at the glowing ships. This is not a job anymore," he whispered. "This is destiny." And he had no idea what was coming next. Kale Thorne stood in the center of the hangar, surrounded by silent warships worth more than anything he could imagine. The hologram's message still echoed in his mind. His hands were shaking, and his heartbeat felt louder than the hum of the alien power core. He tried to breathe slowly, but the air around him felt heavier now, as if the entire base was watching him. Every glowing panel and every ship felt alive, waiting for his next move. He looked at the cruiser again. The hatch remained open, blue light casting a calm glow on the floor. The ship almost felt like it was inviting him to step back inside. But Kale needed answers first. He walked back to the central platform, where the floor had closed and the hologram had vanished. He touched the surface again, nothing happened. The system had given him the message it wanted. Now, it expected him to act. "I am not a commander," Kale whispered to himself. "I am just a mechanic." But the base did not care. The base recognized only one thing: his DNA, his human identity, and whatever ancient link humanity had to this place. He walked across the hangar again, studying each ship with new eyes. Fighters, cruisers, prototypes, each one humming with quiet power. He tried to guess how old they were. Hundreds of years? Thousands? Or older than human history itself? One thing was clear: every ship had been waiting for a human. Kale moved toward the far wall, where a giant metal door stood covered in glowing alien symbols. He had not opened it before. The symbols changed color when he approached, blue to white, white to gold. The base was responding to him. The door slid open with a deep metallic sound, revealing a narrow corridor lit by soft white lights. Kale hesitated but stepped inside. The hallway curved slightly, leading him toward another chamber. When he reached the end, he gasped. The room was a control center, massive, circular, filled with floating holograms and transparent screens. There were no chairs, no normal human controls. Instead, dozens of platforms hovered in the air, each one showing a different ship from the hangar. This was the command room. A sphere of energy floated in the center of the chamber. It pulsed slowly, almost like it was breathing. Kale approached it carefully. "Hello?" he asked. The sphere responded. A wave of light spread across the room. Screens activated. Holograms shifted. Alien symbols reorganized themselves, turning into readable human text. Kale's eyes widened. Welcome, human custodian. Fleet standby mode, active. Awaiting orders. Kale stepped back. Custodian? I do not. He could not even finish the sentence. The sphere glowed brighter. Primary protocol, protect humanity. Secondary protocol, defend vault. Before Kale could respond, the base shook slightly. A rippling alarm sound rang through the walls, low at first, then rising sharply. Kale grabbed the edge of a console. What now? The holograms rearranged themselves. A radar-like screen appeared in front of him. Red markers. Many of them. Intruders detected. Unregistered lifeforms approaching. Distance, 1.8 kilometers. Kale felt his throat tighten. Intruders? Out here. Now. He pressed another icon. The system displayed a blurry visual feed from outside sensors. Through the static, Kale could see several dark ships moving quickly toward the base. Their engines burned red. Scavengers, Kale whispered. They must have detected the power surge when he activated the base. And scavengers never came for peace. They came for loot. And they would kill anyone standing in their way. The hologram sphere pulsed again. Human custodian, shall we defend the vault? Kale swallowed hard. Defend? With what? The answer came immediately. Fleet activation possible. Awaiting human approval. Kale stared at the message. It wanted him to activate the warships. All of them. He looked at the feed again. The scavenger ships were closer now, 1.2 kilometers. Kale felt fear, but also something else rising inside him. Responsibility. Destiny. He had not asked for this, but he found it. He discovered it. He awakened it. And if he did nothing, these scavengers would take the fleet, the base, and maybe destroy it all. Kale closed his eyes for a moment. He breathed deeply. And then he said it. Activate the fleet. The room exploded with light. The energy sphere burned bright blue. The ground trembled. In the hangar, engines roared awake. Panels shifted. Weapons aligned. Fighters lifted from the floor one by one, glowing like stars. The entire vault came alive. The control center displayed a final message. Fleet awakened. Standing by for your command, custodian. Kale opened his eyes. This was no longer a dead base. This was no longer a forgotten vault. This was a human fleet. And he was the only one who could lead it. The scavengers were almost here. Kale stepped forward and gave his first real command. Prepare for battle.